You have seen then luxury brands from many different points of view.
Yes.
What do you think luxury means right now for the consumer market?
Well, this is a very, very interesting question because
The concept has evolved
of
necessarily.
course, because the concept has evolved, and it's no longer like it used to be. Because in the past, luxury was unreachable. Now we can say that luxury has become more and more accessible.
Oh, really?
Oh yes, it's the concept of luxury that has dropped down in order to include what we call the majority of the types of brands nowadays. They are premium brands. Premium brands are more accessible. So luxury is no longer perceived like it used to be, rarity, where it's unreachable, a dream.
Very limited production.
Very limited production, exactly. Exclusivity, rarity. So some brands, they still do this, but the majority are not doing this. The majority are into premium.
Okay.
And when you are into premium, that means you're reaching a bigger number of consumers.
So there are now levels of luxury, we could say that.
Oh yeah, there are different levels and different categories.
Okay. If the luxury has changed, then we were talking about different levels of luxury. What does that make sense to you? The levels of luxury
Yes, there are different levels of luxury.
or types of luxury branding?
Well, they are, typologies, I would say, or categorization for these luxury brands. The ones on top, we call them pure luxury. These are the ones that people dream of owning, and they're not, of course, reachable for everybody, definitely not. Then we have the brands that are less, I would say, or more reachable, but still they are still aspirational for lots of people. Then you have the ones that are more reachable, and I'm trying to remember the name of that category, but it is like, I would say, the reachable luxury. And in the reachable, you have three more types of luxury: super premium, premium, and you have the ones that was established a few years ago, since the years 2002, 2003, with Karl Lagerfeld and H&M, that have created a new type of luxury. And this is a mix in between two words, and that is prestige and mass, and it's called the mastige.
And who decides that? I mean, the owner of the brand, the advertising agency, the professional, or the market itself?
Well, deciding on the typology, or only on this last one I mentioned? Is it
Only
in
this-
general?
only
the last
these
one,
three last
the last one was new, because mixing H&M with Karl Lagerfeld was unexpected by
everybody.
everybody, the retail and the luxury. Both of them, they thought it was blasphemy. You cannot do this.
Okay.
And Karl Lagerfeld knew what he was doing, because he participated not with Chanel, he participated with his brand, which is Karl Lagerfeld, which is a designer's brand. It's not pure luxury. So, and he opened the road, I would say, to what we call the mastige, and to what they call at H&M the capsule collections. And the
Mastige.
capsule, yeah, it's a contraction between two words, the mass and the prestige. The mastige.
Mastige is
Yeah.
because the mass market and
And the prestige brands,
market. Now I
exactly.
get it.
But not
Thank
the
you.
pure luxury, the prestige brands, which means they're all designers brands. And every year, H&M collaborates with a premium or prestige brand. Every year, twice. We have two collections of capsule brands. The consumers are not stupid. They know that if they buy, for instance, let's say from Marley or Martin Margiela or whatever, Givenchy. Givenchy is luxury. H&M is low end. It's fast fashion. And they know that in between there is this capsule collection. It's a collaboration between both.
Okay.
Yeah. So who decides on this? It's the marketers that sometimes, most of the times actually, sometimes it's journalists as well, who see it from an outside, as outsiders, I would say, an outside point of view.
So yes, we could say there are certain objects that represent, or products that represent luxury.
Exactly.
What would you say the top?
I wouldn't, yes, top quality, I would say. If we want to use the term luxury, we can use it as well, because we were talking earlier about the 6 different levels. We didn't talk about the designers, because designers are more into fashion. But this is another thing as well that we can talk about, which means luxury fashion exists with the designers. Yeah.
Where would you put art and what we call sensitive or creative products? For example, you can buy art, and when it is an original, a unique piece, but in my experience, art is not usually in the luxury branding. Maybe some artists are. If you have an original Picasso or you have an original Dali,
Yeah.
maybe that is a sign of luxury. But art is usually not set into that category. It responds to another one. Can you tell us about the sensitive product or the creative product?
Yes, this is a very interesting topic in the sense that some people think that art is definitely luxury, and that and that is confirmed with all the collectors. You know, all these.
Sotheby's and Christie's that sells bill for
Yes,
thousands or
exactly.
hundreds of thousands of
Exactly.
dollars.
So, what
But nobody
Christie's-
knows who.
Yes, they want to be
bought that.
secret. Again, we go back to the old generation. You mentioned Picasso and Dali, and you have to know that now, when we look at Picasso and Dali, they're not selling like before. Now it's more Jeff Koons that sells more, which is
The contemporary.
very contemporary. Or Banksy. I mean, you remember that
documentary.
scandal that where it was sold, and after it was sold, he tore it. It was torn on the spot, and people thought, oh, it is even more luxury because it's a torn. So, I mean, luxury can have, art can have a different dimensions and has an intersection with luxury, but it's not. We cannot generalize and say art is luxury. No, art is not luxury in general, depending on what art we're talking about. But if they join together with some elements that are important, exclusivity and rarity, which is, you're going to tell me, yeah, but this is what art is about. It's like a unique piece. It's true, but it's the quality as well. It's the rarity of the technique, I would say, the rarity of the material, the rarity of the, could be of the subject itself that we're talking about.
Okay.
All this has to do with luxury. Plus, nowadays, it's like branding. Now, we cannot ignore the importance of brands when it comes to luxury art. It used to be the case, you mentioned, of course, Dali or Picasso or
Whatever other artists.
whatever other artists coming from Netherlands or from France or from whatever. They were brands, right? And we know their story, so they told stories. Nowadays, it's the same thing. Banksy, we don't know how he looks like. We don't know. No one knows how he looks
No,
like,
actually-
and he has a multitude of artistic experiences around the world. And when he sells a piece, it goes into millions. So it's amazing.
Because we have a phenomena in this city, and particularly among the youngsters,
Yeah.
that every single piece of garment they wear
Yeah.
has a brand on it.
Yes.
You can have a
Sure.
Dolce Gabbana hat
Sure.
with Givenchy shoes,
Of course.
with Yves Saint Laurent sweater, with whatever. But they have to
True.
be covered about brands. What would you call that phenomena if you have seen
Yes,
it?
of course. This is how luxury has survived since the years 2000. Before the year 2000, this existed. Luxury existed. But before the years 2000, people didn't behave the same way, which means I am of an older generation, and when I was their age, I wouldn't think and dream of buying something from luxury brands. It was too costly for me. Until I became a young executive where I was making money, of course, first things I do, I would go and buy an Armani t-shirt or a belt or whatever. Now things have changed since the year 2000. Why? Because of the behavior of these young people. Well, these young people, how do they behave? They want to belong to a certain social class they don't belong to. This is why we buy luxury, because we want to feel that we belong to a certain status. To
There's a
certain
cultural identification
Yes.
phenomena behind that.
across the globe. It's not related to one culture, because you're talking about Mexico. I can confirm to you it is the case in China, it is the case in France, it is the case in the USA. In the USA, let's go back to this ostentatious luxury, or I would say ostentatious fashion. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with a brand called Abercrombie & Fitch.
All right, yes.
Abercrombie & Fitch, they have big brands on their t-shirts, on their sweaters, on their hoodies. I do have some of them as well. It's like all young generation from the 90s, year 2000, where we were buying Abercrombie & Fitch because we wanted to show that we belong, we are part of that community. And what's surprising is that when they did the research in the year 2000, beginning of the year 2000, to see if the consumers would be okay to keep these big logos, or they prefer to have small logos.
Smaller ones.
And the results were mostly for the small, discrete ones. So they changed their strategy and they got rid of the big branding and they went small. Okay. Once they went small, it wasn't the trend, so they got it all wrong with the research. The other brands, one of them that you know as well, that is coming from the US, Ralph Lauren. I don't know if you remember when he started, he or his team have started printing the huge logos of Polo on the polos. It's like, and it went
What's the purpose of that?
ostentatious. It's like showing and being proud that you are wearing this brand, you are part of this brand. It's no longer discreet. It is just to be part of a certain community, because communities, since the creation of internet and the creation of social media, have become so important in our lives. So being part of a community, whether it's online or offline, mainly we're talking online because of digital, but of course offline it is as well important. So here it is transferring as well the communities into the offline, which means in social life, and wearing this and being proud of wearing the big, like Abercrombie before, big polo from Ralph Lauren, or later on Lacoste or Dolce & Gabbana, and the others that have followed. So ostentatious has become the norm.
Okay.
So Louis Vuitton,
In that level.
Yes.
1, 2, or 3 levels.
yes, the top, they haven't done it.
They haven't done
They
it.
will never do it. They do it maybe from time to time, which means we can see the double C's of Chanel.
But very, very small, or
Yes.
very, very hidden.
They don't do it like
or in the
Louis Vuitton does
watches,
it.
they always will have
Very
Cartier
discreet.
on the
Exactly.
screen, but
Exactly.
that's it.
Cartier would never do it, yes. Cartier, Chanel, they would never do this. But on the other hand, if we think of Lanvin or Louis Vuitton, Louis Vuitton has become the #1 brand in the world, and everyone knows the monograms, which means you buy a bag and you have all these logos. It's LV, LV, LV with all the symbols that they have. So it's all over, and people are proud because they think they belong to a certain social class. They're not the only ones. Everybody has copied them. Burberry did that as well. Gucci, they did this too. Dolce & Gabbana, Armani, maybe Armani. They were a bit smart during the 90s until the years 2000. Why? Because Armani, they went into all these levels we talked about, all these categories.
Categories of
Yes,
branding, yes.
because there is, on top you've got Armani Privé, which is only for red carpet.